There's nothing like a spot of sunshine to lift the spirits. I've not been down here for about a week now, I believe. I think it is a week. Because I've been away working, earning money to pay for this expensive rusty old tub. What I need to do now, though, is get inside and do a little bit of housekeeping. In the meanwhile, while I've been away, we've had a storm. So we've got a lot of flapping going on the side with the tarpaulin. We've still got a hole in the side of the boat, and inside looks like a bomb site. You can see here how the tarpaulin's come loose. It's been flapping around, and the staples have come out. Hello. Right, we've got some lights and a very low ceiling. A few of you got very concerned about the floor full of these that was messing up the floor on last week's video. They didn't start off there. They started off on the ladder. That's where I stored them. And I forgot to move them. And what happened as the safety strap was pulling on the ladder, it threw them all over the floor. And then once they ended up under here, I left them there because I didn't want to be under this steel until we'd secured it. I'm cold today because I forgot my hat. I left it at home and it's chilly without it. I wonder if I've got another one in here somewhere. I'll have to have a look. I think we need to crack on and have a tidy up.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think you said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car, let me see who...
Okay, a little bit tidier. Got a bit more to do, but I'm becoming increasingly conscious of this razor sharp edge here. A few of you have said, sensible suggestion, thought about it myself about putting the foam pipe insulation on the end here. I think that's a great idea and that's something I'm going to do. Right now I haven't got any. I did have a look on Amazon last night and it was a bit pricey on Amazon, so and we don't have like a local B&Q here and things like that. I've got to travel miles to it. So I'll keep my eyes open, we will get some, but for now I just need to dress this edge up before I go any further, otherwise I'm going to end up with 4 ears. Got my trusty JCB grinder, just for dressing the edge up. Okay, onwards, on with the bathing platform. The issue I've got is this 4mm steel is quite wavy. It's flexible, and particularly when it's 4 meters long. And I've got to get this stiff. The previous design was 2 pieces of steel, sort of in box sections. So you got this stiff box. But I don't like the fact that you've got this space in here again that you can't get to, that can fill it with water and corrode from the inside. So I'm not going to do that. I'm having a single sheet of steel and we're going to put stiffeners in underneath to make it nice and solid. But first of all, I need to make sure that it's flat and level. So I'm just going to put some angle iron on here because that's got a nice straight edge, just to clamp it up and see what it looks like. I don't have a piece 4 meters long, sadly, so let's just see how long it will go and see if we can start doing something that makes this perfectly flat and very, very stiff too before we start welding it in. So you can see as we clamp this to the steel, and as we go along, start to get a gap. Can you see that? And that just shows, there we go, the droop on the steel, which is why we need not to weld it into that position. Otherwise you've got a bit of a curved bathing platform, which is fine, but it's going to look a little bit strange when we try to mate it up against the straight edge of the boat. Right, that's got that bit flat. Now I'm thinking on the fly here. You probably notice I've just swapped it from the top to the bottom, and I've got a cunning plan. The plan's going to be to use this stock that I've got. You remember this, we use this on the keel. This is the 10mm by 50mm, and this will make a fantastic stiffener for the bathing platform. I've only got enough to do one, but we'll probably get some more of this stock to put some more stiffeners in here underneath. I'm going to use the angle iron as a guide to get this into position. So we'll clamp that into place, that'll keep it straight. We can put the angle iron, I've got two pieces of this either side, clamp that up as well into the angle iron so that it's straight and clamped up against the bathing platform steel, and then we can weld it into place. But what we need to do is to measure and make sure that the angle and the steel gets welded in parallel to the guillotine edge of the bathing platform. It needs to be parallel to the guillotine edge of the bathing platform and not the boat, because at the moment the platform's probably not in perfect place. We'll be shifting it and moving it around at some stage. Right now I just want to get some stiffeners in, make this a nice solid stiff platform for us to move into weld into place. Found my cap, really pleased. This steel's in now, it's been measured. I drew perpendicular lines just to make sure the measurements were right, because obviously you can get some error if they're not completely perpendicular. I've measured and double measured just to make sure that this angle section is completely parallel to that guillotined edge. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can get this section round the back and clamped up. I hope I've got enough clamps. There's a few more under the boat, can't quite get to them. There we go. That looks good. Look at that. Beautiful. Parallel to the guillotined edge. Oops. And flat to the bottom of the transom, holding that transom nice and flat. That's perfect. So I think the next task, apart from getting a crinked neck, is to prep this steel and weld it into place. Back to same old, back to the rain. It is 11 degrees, so it's warming up, but I don't think we'll ever get rid of this rain. They call this cloud above us, the Pembrokeshire Dangler, apparently, because it just dangles there. Look who's with us. Got the old grudge with us today, project manager. Right, let's get aboard, get dry. Being one to blame his poor welding on tools, I'm going to blame it on my mask at the moment. It don't look too bad, does it, when you put the light on it? But I'm struggling to see through it at the moment, and I think it's that outer lens. The inner lens looks a little bit dirty, but I think the outer lens is the most filthy. The problem is I've got some spare lens covers, and I don't know where I've put them, like everything else. I'm going to have a look in the back of the van. I think the box for the welding helmet might still be in there. I hope it is. I might have binned it. I did have a look on Amazon to get some more, but they don't deliver them for about 2 to 3 weeks, so I might have to order some online. I usually like to see things come the next day because I don't realise I need things until I need them, and then I can't wait. We'll have a search round, otherwise I'll just give it a bit of a clean and see if it'll help the welding. We welded one side yesterday. I wasn't that happy with the welding. It's the issue I have. It's keeping them on track. This is the same issue I have all the time, but I really want to kind of get my eye in. It's more about me seeing the weld properly. I just don't seem to be able to see where I'm going with the weld. I can often see the weld puddle, I just can't see where I'm going, and I need to dial in that skill. That is key. I think that's the big step towards better welding. Anyway, we'll give it a go on this side after I've cleaned up that lens. Right, nice and clean. Still a lot of scratches on it, but it's Rachel clean. She's going to give that clean for me, but let's see how we get on. Right, we're just sat here waiting for a lorry delivery coming that's bringing us a special gift. I've got to meet him here because he's in an Arctic and he's a bit worried about going down the wrong roads and stuff. So hopefully he'll be here any minute now. Good shot, Sean. We're here, Milford Steel, to pick up some steel. I've got to come back and get it when they've cut it up. They're on the lunch. Miserable day. The old grudge. Right, back to collect it. I've got to pay for it now. That's the steel. The welding's been a little bit hit and miss. So you can see here, the issue I've got is, this is thicker, this is 10 mil. This is only 4 mil. It's a fillet and it's hanging down. So this weld's turned out not to be too bad. That weld was a bit rubbish there. I think this was me trying to keep the heat on the thicker steel, and I think I kind of have tacked both, but the weld doesn't look as if it's actually in the fillet. So some are better than others. So the new weld technique is a little bit challenging. Some are ugly, some ain't so bad. I think what I really need to do is I need a session down here just practicing fillets just to get the settings in right, because on these welds I was playing around with the settings. I was doing a weld, having a play, seeing how it affected things, and it's not the best to practice on your actual job. So I think what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm just going to tack weld them in, which is what I'm supposed to do anyway, and then we'll have a practice session, and then we'll get back to having a day's welding and see if we can get better as we go along, because I really want to kind of get this steel into place. So it turns out that cleaning my visor didn't make any difference to the weld quality. Even though it looked a little bit clearer when I put it on, when I strike the arc up with the welder, it glares. It's all the scratches, all the fine scratches, and it makes it difficult for me to see the weld. I even tried putting my glasses on underneath. It seemed to make things worse. So I also need to get myself a new cover, lens cover for my welder, just to make things a little bit clearer. So shouldn't affect the tack welding though. So let's get tacking some of this steel in. I've gone and fetched some more steel. Right, so that's tacked in. I think the secret now is to try and concentrate on one thing at a time. There's too many variables for a novice like me when it comes to welding. I want to try and up my game and concentrate on making sure I'm spacing these welds properly, because they look quite ugly by not being spaced at an equal distance when I'm tack welding. So I'm going to step up my game a little bit, but what we need to do now is we need to put some more steel in underneath. So I've fetched some more steel, and I've got some more of this 50mm flat bar by 10mm thick. It's quite heavy duty stuff. As I said, we use that on the keel. I've got 3 2-meter lengths, which I'm going to put 1 in the middle and 2 a little bit further apart. But I've also got some 6mm stuff just to use for a lattice in between as well, just for some extra rigidity. We need to make sure that as we're welding this in, we keep this plate nice and flat. We've got it nice and flat now in this direction at this trailing edge, but we need to make sure it stays nice and flat, so we've got a nice flat area as we weld it in. Let me go and fetch that steel from the van. So I'm putting this angle in along this port side edge. The reason I'm doing that is this is just the straight edge to make sure that the plate is straight and flat in this direction. You can see that there's quite a deviation, but we've also got to be careful because we've got lifting posts pushing up, we've got pulleys pulling up, and we've got the side of the boat. So we could be distorting this with all the pulling and the pushing and the supporting that we're doing. So I've got to be a little bit careful, but just gently release some of these supports and just let it drop down a little bit. It's all secure. There's plenty of posts in here. There's the chains, there's a security strap, but we'll just take a little bit of the tension off. We don't need the tension on it, and we'll see if we can get this nice and straight. Right, I think some of this gap now, because this is loose, is due to the sag of the steel at the back, the weight of the steel, because it's supported mainly at the front. So I'm going to put a support post at the back, put a bit of upwards pressure and see if we can straighten it out and close this gap up here. I could try and close it with the clamps, but I'm just a bit worried that if we're just using force on this corner, it's not a uniform straightening of the steel. Okay, nice and flat at this edge. Hopefully that translates about 1 metre in, because that's where the next steel is. But of course, that steel's got a straight edge, so we'll see if it's bowed there, and we can correct that at the time. Let's see if we can get that steel in now. It's going to be a bit awkward because it's heavy, and there's just the one of me. Right, that seems to have worked pretty well. If you look at our chalk line, and we put this straight edge on it, that's pretty straight. I can't see any gaps in that, so I think that worked quite well. Putting that level on, because when I drew the line, there was definitely a gap, it bowed. So, positive result.
One of the great philosophies of life is that you win some and you lose some. And today's lose some is I've lost my microphone again, when the only time it ever falls off my hat is when it's wet through on the floor, which is this today, and I can't find it. That's when you lose some, but you also win some. Do you remember that wide angle lens that I lost a few weeks ago? It's magnetic. Did I mention it? There it is. However, it's an overall loss because the microphone costs much more than the lens. And I've just seen I'm connected to the microphone. So it's around here somewhere because it's picking up audio. I'm going to go on a tapping exercise just to see how good those bars get. I've kind of got a bar readout of how loud the audio is. Theoretically, the closer I get to the microphone, the more that bar will move across. So let's have a look. I'm going to do some tapping. It's quite strong. It's even stronger. Oh, there we go. That is how you lose a microphone when it's on your hat. Did I mention the microphone's magnetic? I hope you've been hearing me okay. Well, there you go. My hat's touched the steel and it snatched the microphone.
Right, there's not much room under here. Gives you a crinked neck. So I've been trying to get myself into some good quality working discipline. I started off not so well. You see these ground out tacks? That's because I just tacked this steel in anywhere where I thought I could just dab the welding torch on when I was putting this steel up. And I should have had a little bit more patience and marked it out and tacked it nice and evenly. I've redone them, I've redone the tacks just for the exercise. You can see here at this side, it looks neater now that they're tacked at regular spacers. But here, they're all regular spacers now. But I've ground out the old welds. I've done the same the other side. Well, I've got that weld to grind out, that shouldn't be there, but these are all done. You see I marked them nice and neatly, and these were the ad hoc welds that I put in. That I'm just grinding out, and at some stage, probably, maybe we don't need to, but we'll put some longer welds in here. All right, you're looking down on me, like you always do. You're up here on top of the bathing platform to find somewhere to put the camera. It's a matter of getting yourself into good habits. We're learning as we go along, but some of this needs to be habitual. So tack welding neatly to make the job look a lot neater is something I'm going to have to try and remember to do. I tend to get a little bit overwhelmed with what I'm doing and stick tack welds in anywhere to help me with the job, but I need a little bit more discipline. So 2 pieces of steel in. We've got this piece of steel in on the trailing edge of the bathing platform, and we've got 1 thick piece of steel in down this side. We've got 1 to go in the middle and 1 to go on the other side, and then we'll put some stiffeners in between as well, and then that should be the bathing platform ready to get into position under the boat and weld it in. Good news, look what I found. I've just been in the unit getting the stapler ready to do the side, and I found the welding visor covers. So I'll just get one of these on now. Problem is, no more excuses now. If I still can't see with the new clear lens in, I'm done for. At the beginning of this video, I said I was going to seal up the post box that I cut in the side of Heath House, and I forgot about it. I just jobbed on with this steel. I better get that sorted because the weather's been a little bit rough recently. JCB. I want to be able to take that angle iron off the top there that I've clamped up. That's giving us a nice straight edge. But before I do that, I want to make sure we keep that straight edge there by putting a piece of steel in down this side. We won't use the 10mm steel for this. We'll use the 6mm. That'll be fine for here. So I'm going to cut a piece or put a piece in there, try and get that welded in. Then we can take those clamps off the side. Well, that was like chalk and cheese. I can't believe that I've been struggling for so long with a frosted up, scratched up welding visor. What was happening is when I struck the arc, the glare, I could see the weld puddle, but the glare prevented me from seeing anything else. And I thought it was my dodgy eyes. As soon as I put in a clear visor, the welding glare lit up the area around it and I could see exactly where to go with the weld. So you live and learn, and I bet all you that weld say, of course you have to have a clear welding visor. Right, let me show you then what we've done. I'm kind of pleased with the discipline now with these tack welds, of spacing those nicely apart. Same done here as well, but you can see this is where I started scrappily. So I'm really happy that I've kind of dialed in the discipline to do that. What we've got then is we've got some heavy duty 10mm steel here, some 6mm down at the end, and we've got to work our way across here. The next thing is going to be another 10mm section across the middle to prevent this from bowing when you walk on it on the bathing platform up above here. And then we'll work our way to the end. And the reason I'm working my way from one side to the other is just to work it out flat, so that if there's any undulations, we work them out to the side of the steel. If I start welding things in there and it's slightly out from here, we'll end up with a ripple in the middle. So we've managed to button up the letterbox. I've got some sealing on this bathing platform. It's starting to feel a lot more solid now, more like a bathing platform or a swim platform. I spent a lot of time down here. It might not look like much progress, but believe you me, there's a lot of sweat and tears went into this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget thumbs up, subscribe button, hit the hype button, leave us a comment, and I'll see you next week in a brand new video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.